Hey y'all, what's up? My name's Erica and I'm here talking about some interesting topics today. Topics that may especially intrigue you if you come from toxicity and you are currently on a healing journey to escape the toxicity. You may find this very interesting. So, with the adrenochrome coming to light, which um, little basic rundown. If you guys don't know what adrenochrome is yet, it is basically a bodily substance that is extracted from a child who is fearful that they are about to die. So basically, it is a mixture of the hormone adrenaline and their adrenaline pumps like really, really hard right before this point. And then you can extract that and then you can feel the effects of it. So this is the big hype about adrenochrome. But we're not talking about adrenochrome today. We're talking about adrenaline and cortisol. These are two other hormones that are made in the body, which can have some serious effects on not only one's mental health, but also their physical health as well. So, we're taking this little story here today, we're taking this all the way back into the womb. Furthermore, the baby in your womb, say if you are the woman, the mother carrying this child. All right? Now, here's what happens when you are getting abused during your pregnancy. Okay? You are in this constant fight or flight stage constantly. And what that's doing is giving you an abnormal amount of adrenaline and cortisol. So, we already know the damaging effects of living in this fight or flight mode over long periods of time can really, really damage the brain, as well as body and a lot of other spiritual, you know, aspects of yourself as well. Okay, hold on. But listen to this. So let's say that you are a mother and you are pregnant with a baby and you are in an abusive situation where you're not only getting screamed at in your face every day, you may be, physically abused, fearing for your life the whole time, in a constant state of stress. And what you're doing is actually, all of this stuff that you're producing, the adrenaline, the cortisol, it's all going to the baby, right? It's all going to the baby. Not to mention, let's say if you do have like the father of your child basically screaming violently at you, like a lot, you're just programming the baby with all that shit. That's literally what they're programmed with. So, this is how you get kids coming out with ADHD, ODD, dumber, can't think right, just act like they have no cognitive ability, violent, angry. It all stems back to the abuse that you endured when the baby was in the womb. So, this is some pretty heavy shit, like, damn. Really telling you, so much of this stuff goes back to when you were in the womb. Even if to back this up and not make it so serious, even like if even if you're stressed out, like even say you're not even in an abusive situation, say you're just regularly stressed out, scared or whatever, all that fear and stuff like that, that's going to go to the baby too. And they basically say And I learned this from a pediatrician, but then I look in my own life and I say, oh, wow, yeah. They basically say, like, whatever you went through during your pregnancy is basically you're going to see all that shit come out with how the baby acts. So if you got a crazy, violent, angry child who doesn't listen, and track that shit back. Track that shit back to the pregnancy. Were you abused? Were you screamed at? Were you in a toxic environment? Because basically, toxicity breeds toxicity. So, I mean, here I am preaching about this all these years later after I already done fucked up big time, y'all. Like, I fucked up big time. I have 6 kids. Not a one was born into a loving, happy environment. There was always abuse. The one time that I basically was able to separate from that and just stay like completely alone for that pregnancy, even though I felt like a lot of shame, guilt, blame, like fear. I did feel all of that. I was able to, just do yoga, kind of stay in my quiet zone, read some books, watch TV, and basically stay away from people during that time. That's my one kid who has a very peaceful personality. He's not that argumentative. He's more like calm. One kid, one time. So it's actually kind of crazy. And when people are like, well, a lot of moms are like, oh, well, I don't understand why this kid acts so much like this toxic ass baby daddy who's never been in the kid's life. It's just because this goes down through DNA. Like toxicity gets passed along. And to be fair, I mean, if you actually come from like, a nice, loving environment, I assume that gets passed along too. So, like, if you were raised in an environment where people loved you and said nice things to you and you felt good about yourself, I believe that also gets passed along and generations become stronger and stronger and better. I wouldn't know anything about that though, so I'm here talking about toxic environments. And basically, it is just one big cycle after another, after another, after another, until one brave soul decides to say, stop this shit. So I'm that person from my bloodline. And it's not easy because, when you want to basically, like, first of all, let me say this. People who are in toxic environments have no idea that they're in toxic environments because they don't know any better until they actually see an example of something that maybe isn't toxic, but like you feel it because you don't want it, but you take it as normal. So that's the thing with people, because when people are raised in a like loving, healthy environment, they would just stay right away from this toxicity because they're like, oh my God, this is, whew. They don't want nothing to do with that, right? Because they know better. Somebody who's just in it, they just don't know. Once you have the awareness and that's where your work begins. Because when you know better, you have to do better. So this is the real challenge, because most likely no one else sees any issue. Okay, let's say that you're in a lot full of alcoholic meth heads, and this is just the way it's always been. Grandmama and uncle and auntie and little cousin, and everybody just do what they do. That's what swims in that family. And it just takes one person and say, oh, I don't want to do this, right? But that whole family, like, they're not going to see that perspective of the one. They're just not gonna. So, in order to be willing to be that cycle breaker for your family, and it can be anything, it doesn't have to be like the worst of the worst. It can be breaking cycles of emotional unavailability. It can be breaking cycles of, whatever the fuck cycle that you see that you don't want to repeat, okay? You can't make people see what they don't want to see. And this is kind of the thing here. Like, people can only see from their own level of consciousness. This is what's going back to this baby in the womb stuff, right? So when that child in your belly is just programmed with the yelling, the abuse, the fear, their brain like literally almost shuts down, to where they don't have a cognitive ability. They don't have motivation for anything because they are so harmed. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, shit, I fucked up, now what? I don't know all the answers to that. If I did, I'd obviously like be really turning shit around. But the problem is, toxic baby doesn't see the toxicity. They don't understand. Somebody who's in it doesn't understand, and it's really hard to come in from the outside and say, you're toxic. Can we help you? Most of the time they don't. They just want to get stuck in the habits that they've been programmed with. So this is kind of what's hard. You can't heal someone who doesn't want to be healed. Well, I will say, I do have that Healy device, and I do sometimes heal people that don't know that I'm fucking healing them. And then I notice a big difference. And you know what? I noticed a big difference with my kid when I was secretly running the Healy on him. And when I did that for about 3 weeks straight, I ran it on him about 12 minutes a day. I did notice a big improvement. So I probably need to go back to doing that. However, this is key, especially in romantic relationships, because people just repeat the same fucking cycles. And then they think there's nothing wrong with it. So a lot of this stuff is to be considered when you are thinking about leaving a relationship, because you can't force someone to see what they're unwilling to see. If they believe the way they are is normal because that's how they've always been, that's what they've always seen, well, you're not going to be able to convince them of anything. Well, maybe you can. It's highly unlikely. They say until somebody sees it for themselves that there's going to be no motivation or willingness to grow or change. So a lot of that is painful for the ones who really want to grow and change, because they have to then make the decision, do I grow and change without you, or do I stay stuck in the toxicity that my soul can't handle anymore? Like, I can't handle it anymore. My soul woke up. My soul can't handle that pain anymore. And when you do start healing, and when you do start clearing out a lot of these toxic programs that you have just within you, within your DNA, within your cellular structure, it's in your bones, it's in your blood. When you start clearing this stuff out and start becoming more of a light crystalline body and more clarity of your brain, the toxicity can hurt you even worse than when you were already just in it and it was normal. It's like if you were addicted to drugs and you got up to like doing like a certain amount of milligrams every single day, but then you got clean. You can't just go back to that same huge amount of milligram. You'll die. You know, a lot of people do die like that because if they got clean for a certain amount of time and then they think they can go back to their biggest dose, and it kills them, instead of going back to a little baby dose. So now this is big time what I notice. If I get around someone who's starting to treat me in a toxic way, whoo, my heart will start pounding. I will feel an ache in my soul. I gotta go. I gotta go. Because if they won't have the respect for the boundary to treat me respectfully, kindly, that is an environment that I can no longer be in. So it's a bit lonely then, abs, because good luck finding non-toxic people on this fucking planet. I mean, like they say, there's a very select few of us who are making this transition. People who are already normal and non-toxic and have been raised in non-toxicity, that's very rare too, but like they are not gonna really want to intermix with, you know, they look at us like the riffraff. They could be possibly right, that's fine, but I'm just saying, like, everybody's got these lessons that they're coming in here to learn. So like, I'd like to think of myself as a reformed toxic person. I'm not saying I'm completely non-toxic yet. I still can get triggered, and then when I do get triggered, I try to like see what it is and remove it. But I am gonna say that the whole reason I'm making this video is because, like, obviously, you know, my teenager is like super fucking toxic. That was probably like the worst pregnancy I ever went through. Constant abuse daily, fear for my life, starvation half the time, complete stress. It was just horrible, awful. And you know, he's paying the price for the situation that I was in with that baby daddy. So I mean, that really sucks, and I really want to like help him, but like on the other hand, it's hard for me to be around him because, like I said, me being a reformed toxic person, I don't want to get sucked back into being toxic. I don't want to have to be violent and abusive. And on the other hand, I also can't be around that kind of energy because it literally hurts my soul. So at certain points in time, like, you got to question, is it even healthy for me to be around that? It's probably not, but like, because like I had the kid, like I'm kind of stuck, I guess. I mean, I'm more than willing to help him heal, but unless he's willing to help himself heal from it, I mean, I don't know. But I'm just saying, you know, be careful with who the fuck you're hanging around. Certain situations, not your choice. Some situations, not. Well, I'd say a lot of situations haven't been my choice. But when it came to the healing, I had to look inside of myself. What is attracting these toxic situations to me is only a reflection of what's in me. So that's where the healing begins. What's in me? What have I been programmed with to make all this stuff seem normal to me? And at the point that I wake up, the damage was done. I had already had 6 kids. So, you know, it be like that sometimes. But I've been healing now for about 2 years. And I'm really looking to change my life. And I guess I'm doing it little by little. Sometimes I like to think I'm going a lot by a lot, but it is more like little by little. So anyways, I hope you found this information useful or helpful. If you are a pregnant mother and you are stressed out, I just really highly recommend, if there's anything you can do to bring down your stress levels while you have that baby in you, please do it, because you will pay the fucking price. You will pay the price when that baby comes out and it has so much anxiety that you can't put it down. It screams all the time. It's a violent toddler. Trust me, try to get some kind of relaxation when you're pregnant, because you may just be giving birth to a little toxic monster. And then you're going to be the one dealing with it. So it's not going to be no picnic. Welcome to my TED Talk. Thanks for watching. Bye.